Welcome back to Curse, Code, and Crown, a live play Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast featuring a fully original world and campaign. I am the wizard Cronox, observer of time. Curse, Code, and Crown features our regular voiceover artists and improvisers, Laura Hamstra as the Orc Countess Ida and Princess Gwendolyn, Tyler Hewitt as Makka Deathcap, and Ryan LaPlante as Duncan Danno, alongside our dungeon master, the incredible Tom McGee. So get ready for an adventure including thrills, chills, and hope for a brighter tomorrow. It's time for Curse, Code, and Crown!
You have arrived in the realm of the Storm Giants, having taken a small gondola pod up from the Spiros Observatory. You've arrived at what has been described to you as Nimbus Station. Now, Kudo the pupil did warn you to not linger here, that this was a place of death, and seemingly his words have already proven true, as before you lies the massive dead figure of a giant. They are long dead, somewhat desiccated, and have clearly been here for some time. Stretched between the massive buildings on either side of you is a banner saying, "Welcome, Ambassador Danno." And to the left and right, you can see large carts carrying more of these barrels that you saw in the pod. The barrels themselves seem to just be a couple of leftover ones, similar to the one you found, cracked, and seem to have spilt their substance onto the ground.
Duncan just looks up at the banner and just says, "What in the absolute fuck is going on?"
Well, it would seem that Duncan the Mystic, Danno the Mystic, visited here at some point, and there was a welcome party.
Okay,
and this is
not you. Makka, do you have anything for me that's useful?
Kudo spoke ill of Danno. He said he was a fraud. Kudo.
Who's Kudo?
The Crystal Man.
He said bad things about Danno. Everyone's saying bad things about Danno. What did Danno do? It's just, this is like for him, you've been named after an uncle that you thought was amazing. Now you're finding out he's a dick.
He called him a deceiver. It could be that the deception is here. A welcome banner amidst death.
Shite. All right. Then he'll turn back, Tom. So I didn't mean to cut off your description. If you got anything else we'd noticed, please share.
That's it up front. I mean, again, the Giants, I mentioned last time that I think that they were 30 feet, and I got that wrong because I did some math on the break. They're probably closer to 20. So the sort of size of two tall humans.
2 10-foot tall humans.
Well, like 2 6-foot humans in a bit. Yeah, I guess 3. I don't know.
3.
Fuck it. They're 20 feet tall. Don't worry about it. You know what? You guys can plan the next giant surprise, and you get back to me on the math.
Giant surprise. I feel hit pretty good.
Great, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll check my figures next time.
It looks different heights depending on where you are relative to the corpse. You know, that's also going to be important.
Yeah, perspective's a
also,
bitch.
as we know, you can see a 2-meter person and be like, that person's 2 meters. But as soon as you have to distance 2 meters horizontally, it all goes out the window.
Yeah, you have to push that person over.
Yeah.
It's the
You have
only
to ask
way.
that person to lie down.
Yes, he's a 150-meter tall, 2-meter man.
Yeah. So, in any case, large but not like holy shit. Like not we're not talking like Godzilla here. We're just talking large enough that it's impressive. And as a result, the buildings around you are to a similar scale. This space looks, from what you can see from here, a little bit like Duncan. It reminds you of the town square of Orville. It seems to kind of have that vibe. It seems a small space. Everything is kind of driven towards the center. There is a massive circular structure there that, or sort of the front side that you can see, at least a circular, looks to continue on. bit of like a grand hall vibe. So seemingly kind of the center, literally and figuratively, of town. There's the tram station behind you. And to your left and right, massive buildings. Beyond you, you can see other smaller buildings, not in terms of their scale, but in terms of the general size of them, that remind you almost of like, again, if you were in a town square, almost of small stands and kiosks, and kind of like what at a glance look to be small shops. From where you're standing right now, again, blue skies, you're clearly very, very high up. The air is thin. It's a little bit difficult to breathe. But you do not see anyone. You do not hear anything. There is, however, a trail of blood that Sylvia has left that is slowly sinking into the cloud floor.
Ida just stomps her feet, like, into the floor. Like, I don't. This should not be possible.
It's like stepping on moss or a loam.
Duncan draws his sword and pistol, but steps away from Ida where she's stomping because he has the same lack of faith, but does not want to be near her if she figures out how to break it.
Yeah, it feels like walking on a bed of moss or loam or like wet sand. Like your feet sink, and Ida, as you continue to stomp, like there's no hard floor to this. It's not like, oh, it's buried just under the, rubber mat. There's concrete. But by the same token, it doesn't feel weak. Like you continue to stomp, your foot kind of continues to sink down, but seemingly there's a lot of space for your foot to sink.
I do not understand what we are standing on.
Look on the bright side. We don't have to stand on it terribly long if we go catch Sylvia Tome, the science gnome. So let's just fucking do our job and get out of here.
Makka moves forward.
Duncan will
Fair
follow.
enough.
Duncan's on board, yeah.
Right. Are you stealthing or are you just kind of moving at pace?
Gonna stay within 30 feet of Makka.
Yeah,
That's what
Makka
it is, right?
would be attempting to follow the blood trail to get a glimpse of Sylvia, like hopefully, and then kind of try to sneak from there. Basically.
Yeah, I think it'd be a combat sneak, if that makes sense.
Sure,
Playing the angles in the corners, but not like tiptoeing ultra sneak.
Yeah. He doesn't want to sacrifice speed.
Okay, fair enough. So given Makka's spell, I'm not going to make you roll for that. I think that just is a thing you can do. You make your way forward, and as you edge kind of into the following the trail of blood into the town, you find it veers off almost immediately. You follow the trail a little ways and seem to be approaching a building in the southwest corner of this sort of town square. It's a massive, sort of almost looks like a temple to your eyes, but a massive sort of square building, big pillars out front, and atop its domed roof is a massive metallic lightning bolt. Looking from it to the others, to the northwest, you can see drops of rain in metal above a similar building. To the southeast, massive cloud, and your view is blocked of the northeast, but you imagine it's probably a similar building. The blood trail approaches this and then seems to veer off away from it, as though Sylvia changed her mind. Do you choose to enter the building, or do you continue on?
Duncan's a bit of a bloodhound, so I think he'd just want to keep pursuing the trail.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's got answers, it's Sylvia.
Sure.
Yeah, Makka would also only really be interested in following this blood trail.
From where you're standing, you can see inside the building. The doors are open, and you can see other bodies strewn about.
Giant bodies?
Yep.
Okay.
You continue following the blood trail through the square. You do find a few other bodies. I know you're not actively investigating these. You want to roll me a perception as you kind of go by?
That one. I can add a modifier if you want, but that one.
It's all good, man. You cut out your eyes, Oedipus style.
18.
17.
There you go. Those are the numbers.
You both of you notice that a lot of these bodies, there seems to be either a wineskin or a goblet near their hand.
They were poisoned I suspect. I was wondering, how could Sylvia or someone kill so many giants? But
I know this was done by somebody else in the past. Let's not think too much about it. We got something to do. We don't need to think about this too much, says Duncan as he's just trudging forwards.
Like, are the corpses old? And she goes to see if they're like, I don't know, desiccated.
They
like,
are, yes.
old?
Yeah.
These
are old. Yep.
Ah, I see now.
Investigation complete.
Yep.
Case closed.
Looks like these bodies died a while ago.
Yeah, it's not even puns. It's just facts.
Yeah.
Just straight facts.
When there's so little to say, that's all I've got.
Well, I mean, you already stabbed a guy through sunglasses, so we're kind of done with sunglasses now. All right, so you continue to follow the blood trail further towards the. You can tell it's now moving towards the center of the station, and sure enough, this kind of central space looms large up ahead of you. The front doors are open a crack. They are large, as you would expect. But this definitely feels like sort of the central location. How do you approach the doors?
This, I think, would be a stealthy approach for Makka, because it's the first kind of, we're no longer in the open, and the trail leads through these doors, so the potential for alerting Sylvia that we're here is high. So
yeah, she's had traps before, so we don't want to get like fucking blasted or something. So yeah.
Ida is no longer tramping into the clouds.
Cool.
Or whatever they may be.
They're clouds. Can I get a stealth check?
That they've always been clouds. She just didn't like it.
So
exactly.
20 for Makka.
Ooh, 7. Yikes.
So 17 for you.
Oh, yes, of course.
21 for Duncan.
Right. All right. Yeah. So you're able to stealthily approach the doors. There are no visible traps. There is a small gnomish blood smeared handprint on the open door. So clearly Sylvia came this way, but it seems she has not dropped any traps. You also see a smoking cigarette butt slowly sinking through the cloud.
It's like it's smoldering.
Yeah, and it's been sinking for a while, but slowly because
I was going to say if it's still hot, it'd be like she's close. But if it's been a while,
it is still smoking though. But it's just been there for a while.
Yeah, so just like keep it smooth, keep it focused, no loud conversation. Let's do this. And Duncan will just stealth through the door, like.
Yep.
Great. There's the crack of a sniper shot that misses you by quite a large margin because you were stealthing through. But the minute someone appeared, the shot fired off. It echoes through the hall. This thing is like a massive banquet hall, but on a giant scale. So in a lot of ways, it feels like an oversized cathedral to you. The shot hits the door that's like open. And you just hear the echoing snarl of Sylvia as she begins to reload.
Okay, so what does the full room look like, just so I can figure out exactly what my reaction is?
You're in a what looks to be, again, kind of a what to your eye I think would look like a weird cross between a church cathedral and a mess hall. There's a massive central table with chairs. There are sort of tapestries of various weather effects hung sort of between windows that cast beautiful natural light through in stained glass. There is a sort of a must to the air, sort of dust mites floating through the light cast from the stained glass. In a lot of ways, this almost feels like a mausoleum. The air is very still and has that kind of. There's no like fresh smell of death, but a lingering sort of ancient scent of rot and must. The table is lined with chairs that have giants in them, some on the floor, some slumped over the table. The remains of a feast that you could kind of barely see from the ground. There are servants, giant servants, slumped against various pillars, and some general chaos. Some serving carts have been knocked over. From a tactical perspective, this is unfortunate because there's a fuck ton of cover, and because of the amount of echo in here, you have no way of knowing where the shot came from. So Sylvia is hidden somewhere in this banquet hall, and we got ourselves a sniper fight. So there is cover for you to take. There's also kind of you can think of this as like central table, line of kind of decorative pillars, and then kind of a space between the pillar and the wall, which is where you'd set up serving carts and that sort of thing. So the servants can step through the pillars and deliver and then disappear back into the wings until they're ready. In the wings, you have dead servants and overturned carts. At the table, you have chairs and corpses.
I think Duncan would take the closest piece of cover to the front of the entrance and be like, all right, friends, got ourselves a nice sniper hunt. If we all stick together, we can try to stealth between these bodies, advance through the chamber, and figure out where she is by process of elimination, and hopefully not die. Anyone have a better idea? Because I admit, it's not the best idea, but it's sort of what I've got.
Feeling that I will volunteer as decoy, as Ita has keen senses, and you, Duncan, are deadly at range.
All right. So we're saying we'll send Makka forwards. Ita and I will keep an eye out and hopefully spot the shooter before they shoot. Correct?
Yes. Again, I offer this as an alternative or contingency.
It is more active, and I have to admit, he's like crouched down with like his back to it, clearly using, I think, a full storm giant body, just being like, my plan wasn't really better than this. It was just sort of locate, and we get shot in the process and don't get to shoot back. So I think Makka might have this one. Ita, are you ready for this?
I suppose.
All right, Makka, count down from 3, and then make your dash, and we'll try to cover you.
So be it. 3, 2, 1.
And he raises his shield and runs out.
Great. So Makka, you bolt out of cover, sprinting. And I think it's that horrible tension of knowing that someone is like drawing a bead on you as you do so. And what is your plan? You're running towards the table. You're running towards kind of where you think she might be, or is it just literally I'm going to sprint from cover to cover to try and draw fire?
Makka wants to dash, so he wants to be kind of in the open, basically to be like as tantalizing a target as possible. But his goal is to end this sprint at cover again. Yeah,
sure.
So basically maximizing his time in the open by running greater distances, but finishing in cover.
Okay, great.
So I imagine like Ida's doing that kind of like backwards, like sideways glance over the cover to try to like look out and see you.
Get a glimpse.
Yeah.
Duncan will play the storm giant's like between shoulder and head neck bit as his aiming point. So he's still heavily in cover, but trying to cover. I think the hope is that Makka's grand move closer is more likely to flush Sylvia or get close. So yeah, there's risk to us, but the theory is he's a bigger target.
Okay, great. Makka, you take off running, fully expecting to be shot at any moment. No shot comes.
I continue.
Yep,
Yeah,
you make it to
if
cover.
we're rolling initiative, that is my turn every turn until she fires a shot.
Okay. So you run to cover, nothing happens. You'd be in a second sprint. This time there is a shot. Oh man. Okay. It misses. It pings off of like an overturned cart near you, which of course is like small building sized for you. So pretty good cover. Ita and Duncan, as the observers, can you please roll me either perception or investigation?
I'll roll an investigation.
Perception for me.
25. Oh,
Sorry, what did you roll, Ida?
I got 25.
Okay, I got a 9. So Ida got the good number.
Yep. Ida, you see the shot ping off the cart, and where Duncan is looking for a head to shoot, you quickly triangulate the angle. And it is odd to you because it missed Makka, but based on a quick kind of estimation of other angles, There doesn't actually seem to be any odds that it could have hit Makka. Like, none of the angles on the shot track with hitting Makka. It would seem mathematically impossible to hit Makka with that shot.
Okay. So, am I like, they were aiming to miss?
What are you saying? I heard you mumble to yourself.
I am confused. This is... I did not...
Okay,
Perhaps
faster
they were
and more
not-
decisive.
perhaps-
It's a war zone.
Perhaps she was not aiming at Makka. I do not know. It is not a logical shot.
All right, let's find out what happens. Makka, count to 3 before you run the next time.
And Duncan is also going to run this time when he hears 3, because he wants to see what'll happen.
Okay.
He'll go to the other side of the room so that they won't be like lining up on each other.
So say
but-
Makka has been making his way to the left side of the room. You'll just run to the right into the wings. So from main space to wings, just for visual sake. All right. So the count of 3 is made, and you both take off running. This time, Makka, you are hit. It is unfortunately a crit. So... that is 14 points of damage.
Thanks.
As the bullet wings you, causing you to kind of stumble. Ita, can you roll perception?
Yeah.
Just see if you were able to figure out where that.
Oh my god, that was so close to a nat 20 that became a 2. It's 4.
Can I roll one as well, Tom? Because I mean, Duncan would be looking.
You
I don't
can
know.
roll at disadvantage because you're also sprinting. I feel like
I think that's reasonable.
your natural instincts of trying to get to cover will outweigh your perception in this particular instance.
17.
All right.
I rolled a nat 20 and a 15, so I'm still happy
Nice.
with the trade.
Great. Yes, you definitely caught for the first time the glint of a scope at the far end. It seems to be behind the northeast table leg at the top of the room. So you guys are at the south end of the room. She's firing from the northeast table leg.
And he'll just yell to the room like,
Shooters behind the northeast table leg.
We must close distance.
And Makka is up and running again. Like he takes the shot and like gets up and is running.
Duncan, I think, needs to get closer if he's going to get a shot on this. So he'll continue on his side of the table, but he's just trying to get as close to the table with this dash into cover as he can. So he'll run the moment he realizes the moment he hears turtle feet hitting cloud. Is the floor cloud here or is it
No,
stone?
here it's paved. It's
Okay.
like
Yeah.
it's stone. It's
The moment
it's a
he
fancy
hears
building.
Makka running, he's going to move on his side as well.
Okay. There's another shot. This one hits close to where the first shot hit. So Ita, in observing this, this one pings off of the same serving cart. Also, you do not see the flash of a scope.
I think, I just shout. There appears to be another shot. I don't know if there's another shooter, but other shots are being fired. It does not make sense.
Thanks.
He's all Duncan yells. How close are we to being able to see around or behind this table leg, Tom? Are we spotting it?
Unfortunately, it's a while because it is a giant table in a giant building. So this is going to be about 3 rounds of movement under
great.
fire to get within distance of seeing it. It'll take 5 rounds to actually get to the other side of the table,
Damn.
or like a few steps if you're a giant.
Yeah.
Shit. There's not really a great plan for this.
Makka, how are you holding up? Should we be sneaking or do you like this running thing?
I am well, Duncan.
Fuck it, let's run.
You just hear Sylvia yell, "I like that plan!" And she opens fire. Duncan, what is your AC right now?
17.
17. All right, she will hit. That is 20 points of damage.
Great. I will use my uncanny dodge.
Ida, yet again, northeast table leg, sniper scope, flashing scope.
Okay. I think Ida will be like to dashing to the east side of the room.
Okay.
Just like she, whatever cover is there.
There's like we don't need to hash out what each and everything is, but there's enough debris and people from like having fallen over that there's more than enough cover.
Okay. She just wants to be able to get some sort of eye on Sylvia if she can.
Right. All right. So all of you continue to move forward. There is no additional shot this time. So you've now reached the midway point. From here, you can kind of see the edge of the table leg. There seems to be some kind of blinking contraption at its foot. There is no Sylvia there. You all can roll me perception. Actually, let's go with Makka. You're on the correct side for this.
4 plus probably not enough. 8, so 12.
12. You can see just kind of the shoulder of Sylvia's unfortunately bad for hiding bright green like lab coat and skin suit. So she's clearly moved to the northwest leg.
How far away is that?
2 rounds of movement.
As in 120 feet, like 60 feet, like dashing each time?
Yeah. Big space, unfortunately.
Okay. Just looking at a spell for my final spell slot. But carrying on and running.
Next round, there are 2 shots.
I was just, go for it.
You're moving up. By next round, I mean like everyone is shuffling forward. There are 2 shots. Duncan, this time there's one that hits far above you on the wall. You don't see a scope, but you think you can see the muzzle of a gun just kind of teetering off the northeast corner. And there's a shot at you, Ita. What's your AC?
15.
The shot misses, but it was clearly targeted. It like punches a hole through your your floppy hat as you advance.
I think she just yells back like Sylvia, stop and talk rationally.
And she says, I've had more than enough of your theorems.
This is not what?
All right, Ryan, you want to do something?
Oh no. I'm just thinking about things, but no, this is good. We're doing great. We just got to get into this fucking gnome.
Right.
So this last time we'll do this dash and then we're in range is the idea?
Yeah, after this final dash. So Makka, you had something you wanted to do.
Yeah, I'm not in range though, so that's fine.
Okay. So this is going to be a very important role for Sylvia Tome, the science gnome. Oh, that's a nat 1. I rolled 3 20s on her shots with disadvantage leading up to this nat 1. She just yells, actually, you know what? You're right. This doesn't make sense. But, I don't think I really have time for this. So, you know what? I think it's time we table it. And then she pushes a button and there's a massive kind of like, and you see waves of energy start to form around the table legs. And there's a pulse that starts to shatter them, and you hear them creak and bend. And you suddenly realize that if this thing goes down, that's a lot of table on very small people. Unfortunately, it then sparks and shorts out, and you hear an explosion off one of them. You hear a shout, and Sylvia stumbles away as things spark and fire. And it seems that Ida was correct. She is, in fact, a hack. As the anti-grav devices she built to thunder wave away the legs falter, Makka, you find yourself within that sweet, sweet distance you wanted. What do you do?
At this point, it's moot. I wanted to cast Fairy Fire to just light her up like a Christmas tree. But She seems thrown. She's
had to stumble back from these things, and unfortunately from the 2 mounted guns she set up. So yes, she is currently very exposed on your side.
If she's in range for me to run up to her, I'd run up to her and tackle her if I could.
Sure. Go ahead.
So I roll a strength check, I believe, for grappling. 16.
I rolled 10 less than that, so I think you win.
Okay.
So you rush up and just fucking bull rush her to the ground. As she goes down, she reaches up for her shoulder. Duncan, you come around the corner running. Ida's a bit further behind because she started later.
Mm-hmm.
You see Sylvia reaching for her vest. What do you do?
How
Makka
far
on
away
top
from
of
her am I, just for my brain?
You're probably about 30 feet.
30 feet.
I will say if you're going to try and run up to her, she'll be able to pull the pin. But
yeah, I think I got to try to shoot her because I can't get there otherwise. So I want to shoot her in the hand, going for the pin. That's my goal.
All right. Important shot. I'm going to give you disadvantage on this because it's a small fucking target.
Fair enough. And I'm going to spend a swashing point because this is a big fucking moment.
Yes, sir, it is. It is a rather important moment.
Yeah, the world slows around him as he's raising Mr. Bang.
Yeah, I'm imagining this is almost like a one of the agents running in slow motion, like sprinting while pulling guns.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. First shot of the 2. Oof. 16.
16 against Sylvia Tome, the Science Gnome. Let me just get her stats back here. I had to click through so many stats today. 16 is on the money.
All right, and that will do.
Yeah.
5 piercing damage from that shot. And the second will not hit. So it was a 2, so it wasn't a nat 1. So I'm imagining I don't hit Makka, but
no.
The one bullet misses. The other one for 5 points of damage hits that sweet, sweet hand.
Yeah, you blow her forefinger, middle finger, and thumb off, along with a chunk of her palm.
Ooh.
The hand slaps against the vest, but when she goes to grip it, she suddenly realizes that those fingers are missing, and she desperately tries to claw at it with her ring finger and pinky finger. But by that point, Makka is able to kind of.
I just close my hand around hers.
Yeah, she lets out a scream of like rage and pain.
And Duncan will close in and cut her fucking vest off because that shit is fucked up.
Sure. Yep. Fair enough. Ida, you're able to close in as well. When all of you do, there's a massive like boom behind you as her devices go off, blowing out all 4 table legs, and the entirety of the slab slams down behind you against the ground, just casting like dust and debris in all directions. And she just groans and says, That, but sooner, That, but sooner.
You forgot
Yes,
to carry
I believe
the 1.
this should teach you that you are incompetent and should not be doing what you are doing.
I fucking hate you. You are the most annoying fan I have ever met, and you should probably go fuck yourself.
The feeling is mutual.
I'm not okay. She just turns to you, Duncan, and she's like, "So, Duncan Handsome, you gonna end me or what?"
Well, here's the big question, Sylvia. We heard some interesting things from your surviving followers about your intentions here. What do you intend with this place, with your quote-unquote science?
Okay, there's no quotes. It's just science. It's
not when you do it. When you do it, there are massive quotes.
And actually, she kind of nods at that. And she's like, I do charge a lot. So you are technically correct.
That's a fucking
sweet
burn.
What did they tell you? Who's left, by the way? Who didn't you kill?
Well, there's Jill and
Oh, of course it's Jill.
Chris, I want to say. I didn't really get his name. He's kind of a dick.
Hey, did Wesker turn into a monster and attack you guys?
Hell, he tried.
Oh, all right. He's wanted to do that forever, and I told him it wouldn't work. And all right, well, PhD revoked. Am I right? Okay. What did Jill and Chris tell you? What's my grand evil machination?
I mean,
I think you should tell us in your own words.
Yeah, I'm more interested in hearing what you're actually doing. So,
yeah, fine. I wanted to figure out how to fucking control weather. You assholes! Look at this valley. It's insanity. Just think of what we could do if we harnessed this. I mean, I don't know if you peasants know about the Ashlands. It's just dead space. Think of how many crops we could grow there. We wouldn't even have to deal with Bleen again if we had our own supply of that size. So, yeah, I need it so I can grow some fucking food. But more importantly, I need it so that I can get a seat on the board. I know you people won't understand that, but it's important. And I fucking earned it. So I came here to steal some fucking weather tech. And now all this shit happened. So fuck me, I guess.
What surprises me so much about this is that the results of the research you would be doing, if you succeeded, would be an incredibly noble cause, which I believe many people would be willing to support. And yet the way you go about it is horrific.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a much better way to do this thing that you didn't know about until I told you about it? Because if you did, that's totally fine. You can absolutely make that judgment call. But till then, I figured it out. So,
why did you kill the dwarves?
I mean, apply for some grants.
Okay, ignore that for a second. Sorry, Ita, just less for a moment. Why did you kill the dwarf? They said they'd give you the power you needed anyways.
Yeah, no, they did, and they were happy to power up the Acropic, and that was great. But they've been siphoning energy off the tower. There was no way of getting in here without cutting off their supply. They managed to tap into one of the underground currents that had been charging this thing for years. There was a reason no one could get in. There was no fucking power to any of the devices, and there was no way that they were going to let their precious Mounty Grout go without just more of that tasty building useful energy. So yeah, I had to cut them off rather dramatically. We didn't have a whole lot of time. Our ship went down, our supplies were dwindling, and quite frankly, I had to race you guys because I suspected once you got here, you would probably want it for your own weird purposes.
You are less diplomatic than I am, and that is saying something.
At that, Duncan straight up laughs.
Like, look, I killed your friends. Can you just fucking finish me off? I don't want to have to listen to this lady anymore.
I'll let you enough for a second. He just takes out. Oh, so sorry. Oh, go ahead, Makka. Sorry.
Sylvia, this endeavor of yours to restore the Ashen Lands. This was your ultimate goal, yes?
A seat on the board is my ultimate goal. This was a means of getting there. But yes, I do want to restore the Ashlands.
Was blowing yourself up part of your plan to restore the Ashlands?
Blowing myself up?
The vest.
Oh.
The pin.
And she just nods at Duncan, and she's like, honestly, I'm just pretty scared of what this guy thinks he's going to do in the name of justice. It's a beautiful name for committing atrocities, isn't it? So, no, I figured it was easier to go and maybe take you with me. Because honestly, after this...
Carry on your very noble work.
Honestly, if I'm not here to reap the benefits, I really don't give a shit.
Ugh.
You remind me of my people.
Duncan will just jam a piece of cloth in her mouth because he's had enough now. He's like, I think we can agree, friends. She'll share nothing. There's no decency in her. And if we were allowed to continue her work, she'd either betray the people helping her or do whatever she needed to gain power at the expense of the lives of the innocent. Correct?
Agreed.
And she kind of like slumps her shoulders and then just kind of shrugs and goes,
Well then, Sylvia Tome, the fucking dead gnome, you're being sentenced for the murders of 9 innocent dwarves and Stabbo the Berserker, one of your own followers. The sentence is death. And the one thing I tell you is, if acts like this are what get people on the board, after we deal with you, the Apex Institute is next. And then he just runs his rapier through her heart, just bone sword through.
Cool. It goes through, and she kind of like lurches forward in agony, and kind of like as much as she can, kind of forces herself forward on the sword, and through her gag just mutters, and then slumps on the sword.
Normally I don't truck with this kind of language, but she really was a bitch. And then he'll just pull his sword out of her and turn around and be like, all right, this is done. Do we have some way to normalize the storms? Makka?
Yes. Something like a control room. In the trail of blood Sylvia left behind, there was a moment of hesitation. She must have known she was being followed. It was, I think, at that point she opted to create a trap instead of finding this control room. I suspect if we return to that place, we may find our answers.
All right. Then let us return and see what we can solve of this mystery. He'll also pat down Sylvia Gnome, because they don't know fuck all about the Apex Institute, and whatever she's got has got to be interesting, if not useful. He'd send Ida over to the like weird mounted gun things, because those are a curiosity that for him may as well be a magic fucking spell, because that shit is beyond him.
Ida, upon closer investigation, it's actually a very simple trick. She had to her guitar clearly separates into various pieces. And she'd rigged up 2 guns and had just a piece of wire running between them. So the wild shots were clearly just like tugging on one, but she didn't have much time. At the time it took her to find here, she was already injured, and she was spending most of her time setting up the bombs. So a cursory look. Unfortunately, the guns have been destroyed by the table collapse. The table is now, like the lip of the table is probably, 4 feet off the ground, but you can see the top of the table. Again, an ancient feast, long past the point of rot and decay, and now just kind of almost petrified, is laying out. You see there's like large napkins kind of everywhere, as well as very small napkins that you would recognize as basically blankets. Bearing the crest of the House of Danno, folded over some of these napkins. They seem to have been placed on top decoratively in certain seating places. A bunch of the giants have been snapped in half. A bunch of the chairs have been knocked out as the table fell straight down. So anyone who's still seated is broken and kind of dusted. The air now smells particularly rank with kind of ancient dust. It was a simple enough contraption. Ryan, unfortunately, don't find much on Sylvia. Most of the stuff she actually left in her quarters on the ship. You get the sense, just kind of with everything that odds were she actually intended to repair the ship to get out. Eventually, once she had power and power sources. So makes sense that she travel light. But also she probably abandoned some stuff at the Stonehouse. That was planned, but it was planned very quickly and with very few options, as seems to be the way with a lot of her tricks. There are a lot of them are just like traps of convenience. Like what can I do very quickly that will have the most effect? So
as much of a MacGyver as a Bill Nye, one could say.
Truly, yes. It was her maiden name. The room is yours. You can explore the space. You can move back to the temples. Again, based on your observations so far, and I assume waiting kind of tensely after the collapse of the table, no one comes rushing in. Like there aren't, giant guards just storming in. So you are left in a moment of kind of vexation, but also silence. Standing here amidst the dead, both by your hand and those long dead, alone in the graveyard of the storm giants, and still with an eternal storm roaring beneath you that you simply must stop.
This episode of Curse Code and Crowd Sound was mixed and edited by Laura Hamstra, and the campaign was created by Tom McGee. Our original theme music was composed by Landon Knoblock, and Curse Code and Crown's artwork was created by the brilliant Borovic. If you want to follow our players or our DM on Twitter, you can reach out to Laura at ELHamstring, Ryan at the Ryan LaPlante, Tyler at Tyler_Hewitt, Tom McGee at McGeeTD, or you can message our whole company at DumDumDice. So please join us again for more Curse, Code, and Crown!
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. The Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Sammy Boy, Orion Birchfield, Scott Garland, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Acrix, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Austin Nut Powers Fry, Stabby Stranger, Roman Brown, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.